Today on Zero to Awesome, we're doing truck stuff again, because last time we had a bunch of parts, but we ran out of time. So now we've got our lights, we've got our leveling kit, and we're also going to talk about what's coming up next for the truck, which is a secret stealth toolbox of sorts. And today, we're going to get started with our leveling kit, which is just this right here. It's 2 blue rings and not much else. So last time we were working on the Raptor, we installed our hidden winch. Actually, now that I think about it, everything on this truck is hidden. We have a hidden winch. We're gonna have a hidden toolbox. Well, anyways, that's for later. But so we put on our hidden winch. The thing is, the winch mount weighed almost 80 pounds. The winch itself probably also weighs almost 80 pounds. And so we lost about 1/4 inch of height in the front of the truck. So to get that height back, we have our special blue rings. And we'll get into exactly how these work in just a minute. But right now we're gonna start by taking off the wheel and starting to compress the spring with our fancy spring compressors that we rented from the local auto parts store. Someone was driving through some mud earlier today. That was a poor choice. This right here, this aluminum ring, is what we were trying to get to. So this blue spring perch right here sits on top of this aluminum ring, and that's what keeps the spring springy. So our new rings have the same width right here at the bottom, but then the spring perch is going to sit up taller on top of all this. And so then our spring will sit up taller, and that will make our truck go up taller. So supposedly this little, I don't know, what is this, like somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch lift on the spring results in 1.5 inch lift on the truck. So we'll see if that still holds true with the extra weight of a winch up front or not. So next we need to get this up a little bit higher, put this guy on, drop it back down, and then we can uncompress our spring and we're done. Well, with this side, we have another side to do. And for anyone wondering here, this furniture clamp isn't compressing the spring at all. It's just holding the spring up so it doesn't fall down on us. You shouldn't, no, don't ever use one of those to compress a spring. That's a bad idea. So that is one side done. It's definitely significantly higher already, but it's probably just sitting up because we just lowered it off the jack. So let's do the other side and then we'll drive around a little bit, let it settle, and see what happens. Okay, so everything's back together. We just went and drove around a little bit, let the suspension settle, and it is, well, I mean, I can tell a difference. It looks taller in the front to me. Let's grab a tape measure. So before we started any of this work, before we put the winch on, we were at 39 3/4 inches off the ground. After we added the winch, we sunk down to 39.5 inches. Let's see where we are now. We are at 40 1/4. So that is, it's 3/4 of an inch taller than where we were, but that's only about half of what the leveling kit was supposed to give us. Let's measure the back and see what that is. So the back is at about 41 1/4. So that means the front is an inch lower than the back. So we're not exactly level, but we do have like 160 pounds of winch up here on the very front. So I'm gonna say that's good enough. You can get, I think the next size up they have is a 2.5 inch leveling kit. So if we got that, that might put us exactly level. I'll think about that. Maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. But for now, let's get into those lights. So for lights, we have all this right here. We have some brackets, and they will let us put our lights right up in here in the hole in the Raptor's bumper. And then each of these boxes contains 2 square LED lights. And so 3 of those will go in each side. But then there's a question of how do we wire it? And so on the Raptor version of the F-150, this is really easy to do. You have all of these, what they call upfitter switches up here, and these are pre-wired to relays in the engine compartment. And so the switch triggers a relay which sends power out of these wires right here. So all you need to do to hook up the lights is you take the positive coming from these wires right here. You got to figure out which one goes to which switch. You run it down to your lights will turn on, and then you just need to ground the negative wire on the lights and you're done. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We could put each light to a different switch, and that would be interesting, but I think I'm just going to put all the lights on one switch, and then all we'll have to do is we'll flip one switch inside and all of our lights on the front will light up. So let's get to work. Okay, so we've got all of our lights in there, nice and aligned. So the next thing to do is wire these guys up. So each of the lights have a wiring harness on them, which is great and will be nice to plug those in. And each pair of lights comes with one wiring harness. So you have the plugs here for each light, and then you also have power and ground connectors connected to a fuse, the relay that goes to the switch. But the thing is, we don't need the switch. We don't need the relay because the Raptor switches already have relays built in and the switches are inside. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut off our wiring harnesses. So now all we have left for each wiring harness is a positive and a negative. And so we'll put all the positives together onto one of the wires for the outfitter switches, and we'll check our negatives and we'll ground those off on the frame somewhere. But we're gonna save our relay, our fuse, and our switch because I think we can reuse these on this right here. So if you haven't seen this already, this is going to be our off-road camper, and we do have some lights to go on it, but they are just a couple lights we got off Amazon. They're cheap things. We're either going to put them maybe down here or maybe up on the top. Haven't decided yet, but we will be needing some relays and switches for those lights. So if you want to stay tuned for that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But for now, let's get back to the Raptor, start wiring things up. Okay, so now all of our wires are routed up through our engine bay. The passenger side was pretty easy. We basically just came straight up right here. The driver's side, we came up, we took off our cowl cover here. We went underneath kind of the way some other wires are going through here. Now everything is bundled up, zip tied along the way so it doesn't get loose. And so we're gonna take all 6 of our wires. Now still got power and ground all together here. We're gonna cut everything off. We're gonna put all of our positive wires to this green wire with a blue stripe. That should be the aux1 switch. And then all of our negative wires we will bundle together and we will tie off somewhere with a ground, something like here, there. We'll find somewhere to ground it out. And then that should be it. All we should have to do is flip the switch and our lights should work. Okay, everything is all wired up now. You got your ground, you got your positive going to your upfitter switch wire. All our wires are run, everything's back together. Let's see if they work. So ignition on, because that's the only way they work. Switch, and let's go see. Ooh, 3 lights there, and 3 lights there. Let's turn off the sun real quick and see what they look like at night. Okay, so this is regular headlights, and then we turn on the brights. There we go, and oh my gosh, what is that out there? Oh my gosh, baby awesome. Is that you? What are you doing out here, little guy? Oh. What do you mean I was supposed to be watching you and this is all my fault? I didn't let you. How'd you get out? Let's just not tell your mom about this. Okay, lights back on, and let's take a second to talk about how we're gonna design the stealth toolbox that is not a toolbox. And well, here's one of the reasons we're gonna be doing it right here. Ever since I tuned the Raptor, installed the intake and the intercooler and whatnot, I've been probably driving a little bit faster and things just slide back to the back of the truck. So we need a toolbox. I've wanted one ever since I got the truck. The problem is this bed is already small, so I don't want to give up a whole lot of space. My original idea was to design a toolbox that just kind of sits like up under here, maybe like that, and then it slides out like a drawer. But that's still like, you wouldn't think you would, but I use the space up here occasionally. So I want to keep that. So instead of doing a toolbox in the bed, what we're gonna do is come over here. Oh, now we're gonna come over here to all this unused space under the seat. So that's probably a good foot right there. You got, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches. And what we're gonna do is design a drawer system that pulls out from here. So I've had a couple thoughts, like, do you make the drawer go the entire length and you can have it come out each way, or do you cut it in half? I think I've settled on cutting the drawer in half because 1, it's gonna be easier to build, and 2, I'm not gonna need to get to a full like 5-foot drawer every time. So if you wanna see that toolbox drawer thing built, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for that. It may not be the next episode, it may be a few episodes from now, because we need to do some work on Sarah Tara over there, get her to camping shape so she can go camping for the spring. Don't forget about that like button for today's episode, and see you later. There she goes, just abandoning our child in a field.